Hey, just want to welcome everybody back to another segment of Breaking Bread. I'm Herman Moore. We got Lomas Brown, and today we have a great guest. We have Jeremy Reisman, the editor-in-chief of Pride of Detroit, and we're here to talk a little bit about the draft, this year's draft, and also unrestricted free agents. Now, one thing we love doing with our channel is we like to get insight from others who are covering the Lions throughout the state, but also across the country. And today, we want to get Jeremy's perspective on this year's draft picks and his overall thoughts on the Lions. But before that, hey, Jeremy, welcome.
Thanks, Herman. It's an honor to be here between you and Lomas. I'm a Lions fan, so it's pretty cool to be here with you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on. Now, we were talking briefly, and I wanted to, as we said before, we love talking to people who are local. We love talking about people who are right here in the state and they're covering the Lions. Tell us a little bit about Pride of Detroit, and you were giving me a little bit of background about how you got started with this.
Yeah, it's actually by internet ages. It's 15 years old, which is pretty old for the internet age. I took over the site about 6 years ago as editor in chief. I grew up a Detroit Lions fan. I'm local. I've been here my entire life. I just kind of took up sports writing as kind of a hobby about a decade ago, and just kind of grew from there. And Pride of Detroit is a really unique website in that we bring all the analysis and news that a traditional media does, but everyone that's part of the site is a Detroit Lions fan. So we write with passion, we write with energy. We try to keep things light because sports is entertainment for us. So we try to keep things fun. But yeah, we try to bring in all the other stuff that all the traditional media does, but a little bit extra because we're those Detroit Lions fans.
We appreciate that and appreciate all the great insight that you're providing. I know Lomas Brown is going to try and give you a run for your money. And Lomas, I'm telling you, man, you're looking pretty sweet with those glasses, man.
You know, Herm, that's how we do it. That's how a big fella do it, man. Yeah. See, Jeremy, so it's always a competition going on. I don't care whether you're an active player or you're an alumni. It's always some type of competition going on between us.
Love it.
And stuff. Yeah, so Jeremy, so I know Herm asked you about the draft, but were you pleased to see the Lions go in the trenches? How pleased were you to see them start up front with the big fellas?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because I think we actually heard Chris Spielman this offseason say maybe the NFL these days are kind of built from the outside in rather from the inside out, and then the Lions go out and get three linemen, two on the defensive side, one on the offensive side. And I'm kind of curious whether that was just kind of a coincidence or not, because if you listen to what Brad Holmes has said, the Lions general manager, he said he just kind of followed his board. He just got guys that were really, football guys and had the grit, and the players themselves kind of described themselves that way. They got grit. And I almost think it is kind of a coincidence because, you look at the foundation of this team. There's really not a lot of long-term guys that were part of this team before the draft at really any position. Maybe offensive line is really the only one where you could say that. But again, they were kind of missing that right tackle piece, and they get it right off the bat with Penei Sewell. So it is. I think that is kind of how you still build the team is through the trenches. All you have to do is look at the Super Bowl, right? You see the Kansas City Chiefs, an electric team that has all the pieces on the outside, but once they lost those tackles for the Super Bowl, it all kind of fell apart on him. So I'm definitely pleased to see them get some big body guys in the room.
I was going to ask you another question. Yeah. One question I had.
Okay.
Hey, one question I was going to ask. I know Lomas was a big. He thought a lot about the fact that they need to get some linemen. He felt that they need to get them on both sides of the ball. I'm not one that just because I played the skill position that I think that you always have to go corner and you have to go looking for wide receivers or anything like that. Now, I was thinking that if there was a wide receiver or someone that would be available, given what they lost, they could pick up some playmakers. I don't know. What's your thought on the effective or what's going to happen with the fact that the Lions are going to be missing a lot of big playmakers? And do you think they're going to be able to make up with that? Lineman's going to provide some protection. They're going to provide some security and some ability to go and run the football on the offensive side. But what do you think going to be the impact because of the loss of a couple of their top wide receivers?
Yeah, I think in the early years, we might see kind of a focus on the run game because they are missing at least those long-term pieces. I am kind of interested to see what Tyrell Williams and Brashad Perriman are going to bring. Those are two speedy guys, and they have receiving threats out of the backfield with Swift and even Jamal Williams. And obviously you don't want to forget TJ Hockinson. So I think they have some weapons. I agree with you that they need more, and their offense won't be as dynamic until they get those pieces. But to me, this was kind of a longer term rebuild. So I think, if they kick the can on that need a little bit, I certainly think they'll probably be in the market again next year, and we'll get to him. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, let's not forget about him. They picked up a really good value, I think, there early in day 3 there, and I think we could see him get involved really quick, actually.
Yeah. Well, again, with what they've done up front, that to me, that kind of bodes well into what Dan Campbell, what this coaching staff, what they want to do, what they want to try to accomplish on the offensive side of the ball, which is to be a lot more physical on both sides of the ball. Don't you feel that way, Jeremy? I mean, it seems like they want to bring a type of physicality to the football team, and you start up front with that, and you kind of let the skill position guys, or those smaller guys, as I like to call them, kind of find their way. But it seems like everything's going to start and stop with the physicality that Dan Campbell wants to bring to this team.
Yeah. And I think that physicality is really almost more mental than it is physical, because every single one of these guys that they drafted over the weekend is just that grittiness guy, that those people that aren't going to avoid contact, right down to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, that is a guy that runs very physical, that isn't afraid of getting his hands dirty in the run game, all that sort of thing. But you look at the guys that they got, they're not necessarily the big, bulky, physical guys. They're athletic. I mean, you look at a guy like Penei Sewell, that dude can run fast. That dude can outrun me. Might be able to outrun all of us right now, I think.
Wait, whoa. Now, I'm not going to concede to just he's going to be able to outrun me just yet. I'm not doing that. You should know, Lomas should have already warned you that I'm one of those guys that just can't let it go.
Yes.
Let it go, Jeremy. But I'm going to let it go. I still think I can play basketball. I still think I can run routes. I can run underneath routes and drag routes. I'm not running the takeoffs and the deep routes and clear out routes. I'm not doing all that. So go ahead and you and Lomas can have that conversation. He can outrun you guys.
I think that would make phenomenal that would make phenomenal content. If you can get out there for mini camp, I'd love to see that.
I'm ready to pull a hamstring. I don't think they're going to want to put me on IR or put me on physically unable to perform for the salary they'd have to pay me, even at league minimum. So we won't even put them under that distress. I will say this. I want to ask you this question.
Yeah.
What does, in your opinion, success on offense look like, and what does your success look like for defense? And then I want to get your overall, like, just for the season itself, like, what does it look like if you're a Lions fan? And if you're someone who's following this team, given all the rebounding they've had to do, what should we expect success to look like?
Yeah, I mean, if we're just talking 2021, the bar has to be at least somewhat low. I do think, Brad Holmes can say it's a retool all they want, but, you look at the moves that they've made in free agency, all the players that they cut to make cap room, all the players that they've signed, all the draft picks, all that. It's a rebuild. So on offense, I think you're looking for them to establish an identity. You got a brand new quarterback. You got basically everyone new at wide receiver. And you've got, a built up offensive line. So you want to see that offensive line basically live up to the expectations now, because expectations are sky high at this point. I think people expect this at worst to be a top 10 offensive line. Top 5 is pushing it a little bit this early, considering these guys haven't played together. But I think where you really want to see success and progress is in the run game. It's been far too long since the Lions have been able to run the ball consistently, really since the Barry years, really since you've been playing Herman. So both of you, I should say. But I think you need to see somewhat of a breakout season from DeAndre Swift, because I do think he's going to be the focus of the offense this year, given all the pieces where they are right now. And then you also hope that you see something in Jared Goff, because obviously the Lions decided they're going to give him a shot to win this job long term. And they didn't put him in the greatest position with not all of the great receiving threats, but he's going to have protection. He's going to have some short term options in TJ Hockinson and DeAndre Swift and in Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think a lot of those guys are going to be covering kind of the short area of the field, and that's something that Jared Goff can pick up some easy yards there. So, I mean, I'm not expecting this team to be a top 10 offense right away. I'm not necessarily expecting them to put up 30, 40 points a game, but I think they should be a pretty well-balanced offense that is establishing that identity as a well-balanced team that might focus on the run game early.
Yeah. Okay, Jeremy, I'm going to throw a curveball at you now. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, now me and Herm, we played with some great kickers.
Sure.
You know, Jason Hanson, Eddie Murray. You were here. Yeah, Herm was the Eddie Murray. So now I was shocked. I'm telling you, I was shocked when they let Prater go. I really was. I mean, one of the best kickers to play in this game. Now we got this unknown. Normally we're stable at that position. So what are you expecting out of this young guy or these young guys that are going to try to step in and take Prater's, try to step in his footsteps? What do you expect out of this guy?
Yeah, that's a great question. And yeah, that one came out of left field. Kicker talk. I love it. But yeah, you're right in that the Lions, I mean, almost like Green Bay has been known for just always having great quarterback play. The Lions have been known for always having good kicker play. And I think I'm with you. I was pretty shocked that the Lions let Prater go. He didn't sign that expensive of a contract compared to the guy that they got. I think it was certainly affordable. So not entirely sure what the idea was there, but they got a guy in Randy Bullock. He's a 10-year veteran, doesn't have the leg that Matt Prater has. So don't expect, those 58-yard game winners anymore. But he's actually fairly consistent, I would say, from like 45-ish and down. So I think he probably wins it over, I believe it's Matthew Wright is the other guy, the younger guy. You never know with the young guys, right? It's always a risk. You see some young guys, get drafted as high as the 4th or 5th round of the draft, and they come in here, and I don't know whether it's nerves or, it's such a mental game that it's something that once you're in the league, I think you have to prove it for a couple of years. And so that's why I kind of think that the veteran in Randy Bullock comes away with that one. But you just never know with the young guys.
One thing I want to add to that, I was really surprised by that, because you're looking to keep some things in place that are a little solid. I mean, Matt Prater wasn't in an area where I felt that there was a problem. And whether it comes down to contract, whether it comes down to what his pay is or what their expectations, I didn't see a fall off from him from one year to the next year. And those things. If anything, I really started to gain a lot of confidence as a person watching this and say, okay, that wasn't really an area I worried about. If I was an opponent, I actually worried when Matt Prater came in. It was a 54-yard field goal.
Yeah,
I thought he was automatic. I mean, I start to have that same feel I had when Jason Hanson was there, predominantly during my career. I played with Eddie Murray for I think 1 year, but with Jason throughout my entire career. But when you have that type of confidence in the special teams side of it, and when you can cross over into your opponent's territory and you're going to be able to be in a position to come away with points, it's tough to see them move that off the board. And I know you got another veteran guy, but I still believe there's an opportunity here for this team to have not really need to pull that trigger or pull that, that card just yet, but we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah. And let me just add this to that, Herm. I talked to Eddie Murray, and Eddie said you would be shocked at the difference that a new holder makes. Remember last year we got Jack Fox was the new holder for this year. It had been Sam the whole time. And Eddie said that makes a big, big difference. So I hope the Lions took that into consideration before they let Matt Prater go, that he was working with a new holder. And like Eddie told me, I didn't realize it made that big of a difference, but he says to a kicker, that makes all the difference in the world, having a new holder. So that might have been why Matt struggled a little bit last year, but I was just shocked. It was one of the most shocking things that the Lions did that I thought.
And Jeremy, I want to also give you an opportunity. I know Lomas and I, we've been kind of drilling you and grilling you with a lot of the questions, because we really just wanted to get your insight. We've been able to watch and see and listen, and we follow a lot of the content that you have. We follow a lot of content that others around the area, and I think for us it's very insightful to get a different perspective than that of just what we see from players. So I just want to have you have an opportunity, if you want to maybe ask Lomas and I any questions since we have you on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely.
And Jeremy, wait a minute, Jeremy. They don't just have to be football related now.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a universal type of fella here. So I cross all kind of boundaries, Jeremy. All right. So just keep that in the back of your mind.
And if you haven't already learned, the fact that we call this breaking bread, this is like us sitting down as if we were at a restaurant, we're somewhere chilling and we're having fun. So you can, anywhere you want to go with this. We've talked about the Lions, and depending on what part of the season we're in, that may be a happy point, that may be a low point.
Sure.
But right now, this is us breaking bread and having fun and having some conversation.
Well, yeah, let me start with just your guys' relationship with Detroit, because we've seen there's been some rocky relationship with former players in the past, and things, some have been fixed at this point, some haven't. So I'm curious as to you guys, what made you stick around with Detroit after your playing careers, and what makes it, I guess, a special place for you guys?
Mr. Brown, I'll let you start with that.
Okay, you're gonna let me start? Well, first and foremost, it's the people here in Michigan. For me, it's the people, man. Jeremy, the fans are here. These are diehard fans, man. These people don't give up on this team. They don't give up on this city. And then it's what the city's been through, man. I mean, bankruptcy. Just think about it, man. The car industry is basically what runs Detroit, and everything else kind of falls behind that. And it's just, the people here are just so resilient. And that's what I love the most about being here. And there's so much to do here. It's a lot to do here compared to Florida, where I'm from. So I just love the people here, and that's what draws me here. Now, you made a great point about things kind of being rocky with the organization. And I'm not going to say it's always been smooth between us alumni and the organization. There has been times where we didn't feel, or I'll speak for myself, I haven't felt part of the organization. I haven't felt like, that we were as close as we should have been. Yes, they have done some things to bring things a lot closer. I give the Lions credit for that. But I will say it's a lot of things that can be done to make us feel a lot closer than we feel now. So it's a good relationship right now. It could always be better, but hey, I'm a Lion for life,
Do you think it's trending in the right direction in terms of that, in terms of the relationship with former players?
I do, from the standpoint of now. And look, I'm a homie because I'm saying this. Dan Campbell is my guy. Mm-hmm. I played 2 years with Dan. Herman played with Dan for a year. So, yes, I love Dan Campbell. I want to see him do well. I love what Brad is doing over there. I think he's a great guy. Of course, he's the nephew of Luther Bradley, one of our great alumni. So I love that pedigree that he has about him. And then they got Chris Spielman up there. They finally brought one of us former alumni back in the loop. So, yes, I'm counting on things getting a lot better, and I do think they will hopefully get a lot better.
Hey, man, Brother Brown. I love it. Hey, I'll give you just my real quick one. I think Lomas touched on it. It's the fans and the people and the communities, while they are very diverse, we've been welcome in all those areas. And I think sports allows us and gives us the ability to kind of cross over into some areas where others can't, because that's what we're accustomed to. We're accustomed to all diverse and socioeconomic status of different people. And it doesn't matter whether you're rural, whether you're inner city, or whether you're in the suburbs. We have an ability to cross over to those and have a different perspective. And then when we're received that way and we're shown that respect, that's been something that's been here throughout my days when I first arrived here from Virginia to the time that I've continued to stay here almost 20 some years later. But I will say this, with the organization, things always, with most players, when things are starting out well, especially when you're a high draft pick, things are going great. I think they had patience with me after my first year. Pro Bowl years and being on top of the NFL as the top receiver for several years was a great thing, and having those contributions. But, you look for that relationship post-career with the organization. And the thing for me that was tainted and sour with that is that none existed. And then even beyond that, when you try and have an exit or try and have communication, I think it was so just it wasn't really the great the organizational piece that you were looking for in your career, and there wasn't the personal touch that you felt you had through that entire time of your career. So you leave on a bad term. You look at all the players that have come through here. I don't care if it's a Glover Quinn over to a Darius Slade to a whomever. When they leave, no one ever comes back and just says, you know what, I got great things to say about the Lions. They'll say we got great things to say about the city, but they never have that, and it's never been addressed. So this could step on some toes. And what we said about our show, and one thing Lomas and I agreed to do, was authentic when it comes to that. And for me, yeah, I've had really disappointed feedback and reaction with the organization, but we've had some bright spots. But it's mainly been on, you know, if you got to be out in front and you got to have some transparency and you got to be kind of a face for them. I respected their brand, just like I respected my own personal brand, but you just don't feel like you ever get that same equity value back. So it can get better. And the final piece I have to say with it is I would love to see them have more diversity over there in terms of opportunity that's within the organization. And in my time since I've been here and I've played, there's just never been a focus there, whether it's they're just pushing people to the community development side of it. But when you start talking about C-suite or you start talking about the executive branch, you're just not going to find that piece there. And at some point, you got to make a determination that you're going to offer opportunity throughout the entire organization. And that's just me. So there's a lot of pieces there. But I have a great relationship with a lot of the executives there. But yeah, as always, as Lomas said, things can get better.
Very well said. Very well said. I don't think I can disagree with anything you said. Obviously, you guys know best there. So appreciate the insight.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I know one person we had talked about, Lo, and I didn't want to pass it up. And I know we've been very heavy on the offensive side, and maybe another segment we could talk about, you know, kind of the overall thing. I don't want to ever leave out defense because we do have a lot to say about them. But, you know, a guy, TJ Hockinson, one that gets missed. We talked about Marvin Jones, and we talked about Kenny Golladay, and we'll speak about DeAndre Swift. We'll talk about Kerryon Johnson. We talk about Matthew Stafford, and the guy that had some injuries, he bounced back. He came back with a vengeance, made the Pro Bowl, and was just really a dangerous player that teams have to look after. Was TJ Hockinson. So I wanted to make sure that's a big piece, I think, that's going to create some problems. If Goff can find him and they can get in sync and the protection's there, I think there's going to be some opportunity there for them.
Yeah, and you know, Herm, it seems to be going towards a tight end in this league. You just think about some of the great tight ends, like I say, Travis Kelce, and you know, you have Ertz, and you know, all these great Kyle Pitts just getting drafted by Atlanta, number 4. You know, teams know that they could utilize their tight ends. I think the Lions, and I thought Matthew Stafford last year did a great job in finding TJ Hockinson, utilizing them. I think they put him in positions to where he could have success, and he took advantage of it. Like you say, going to the Pro Bowl, I think he might have been the first tight end to go to the Pro Bowl since Charlie Sanders, man, the late, great Charlie Sanders. So, you know, it was a great job of them really identifying that young man. And Jeremy, you know, they called a lot of slack for drafting him as high as they did. Everybody was like, man, you're going to draft the tight end after Ebron, you know, after what happened with Eric Ebron. Then you come back and get a tight end that high again. He was getting a lot of unfair slack. But I think TJ Hockinson, he has lived up to his billing, and he can only just keep getting better and better and better. And he is a matchup nightmare to opposing defenses.
No question. And it's funny because, you know, when he was drafted, the conversation was, didn't Eric Ebron prove that a tight end isn't worth a top 10 pick? And then you flash forward 2 years later after the Lions take Hockinson, and you mentioned it, Kyle Pitts goes 4th overall. 4th. So I think you're right. The NFL is turning to a place where tight ends are just as big of a weapon as wide receivers. No offense, Herman, but yeah, I mean, I do think he's a huge weapon. He's going to be a huge part of this offense. I think him and Swift might be kind of the centerpieces this year, and maybe that's not the long-term plan once they get those wide receivers in place. But early on, again, I think it's going to be a West Coasty kind of offense. You know, they said it was going to be a spread kind of offense with those kind of, you know, short area elements to it. So yeah, I think Hockinson is going to again play a big part, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him have an even better season than he did last year.
So Jeremy, so here's a question off the cuff: who has the debonair look right now? Who's looking pretty debonair right now? The big fella with the glasses on, with the button-up shirt, sitting here at the Skyline Club with the backdrop. Think about it now. Or that young fellow over there with the hustle shirt on. Who has the debonair look right now? Let me give it to you first, Jeremy. There you go. See how I'm glancing off? Yeah.
Let me know when you're done.
I'm done. I gave it to him. See?
Okay, wait, hold on. Yeah, let's each do a pose off here.
Hey, which one look like they getting it in? Oh, hold on. I can get my Lomas Brown glasses. Hold up.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't know, Jeremy.
I don't know. I mean,
there you go. Hold up. Hey, Jeremy, who's looking better? Hold on. Let me get my shirt right. Hold up. Hey, Jeremy, who's looking right? Yeah. Hey, Lomas, what'd you do? Lose your tie? I mean,
come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Herm, that's the debonair. That's the debonair look right there, man. Like, what's going on over there?
Hey, I will say this, Lo. Hey, you know what, man? I'm digging it. I'm digging the style, man, and the fact that when we talk, you always look sharp, and everyone always talks about your smile, man. So as long as you keep doing that, I'm gonna lose every time.
Okay.
I don't have any fight in that, man.
There it is, Jeremy. You heard it yourself, Jeremy. You didn't even have to make a choice that time.
I did not expect that out of Herm.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's just too, man. I just enjoy wearing my own stuff. Bam.
I mean, you look like you're ready to go right back out there, if I'm being honest.
And it's like I was telling you, man, I'm just drinking these crunches. sipping on a little bit of these push-ups. And see this candy right here, this green Laffy Taffy. I'm gonna do this. That way it's gonna help out my pecs a little bit right there, man. So there you go, right there.
See, you see all that help he needed, Jeremy. You see, he got to drink his crunches. You know what I'm saying? He got to do his push-ups. He got to eat his pecs. It's just all here. It's just all natural right now, Jeremy.
Yeah.
With the big guy.
You just roll out of bed with that, like
there it is, right there. It's all natural, Jeremy, all natural.
And as we go through, Jeremy, the thing you're gonna see and the people are gonna notice, some days this will be gray, some days it won't be gray, some days it's gonna have like a pattern. Let you all know, I don't mind buying my stuff, so don't worry about it. It's all good. It's like fashion.
Yeah. So, like I said, Jeremy, it's always a competition, but we like to have fun, man. We love having fun, man.
That's what it's all about.
That's what keeps you young, man. Laughing, having fun, man. It always, like I said, it keeps you young. That's good medicine for you.
Absolutely. And we wanted to say thanks again for taking the time to come on the show and hang out with us a little bit, breaking bread. And we look forward to joining you on your show as well. And anytime you want to come back and you want us to come on, we look forward to having you.
Absolutely, guys. It's a pleasure to talk to you guys, and I look forward to seeing you guys back in person when we can.
Oh, absolutely. Appreciate it.
Thanks.